नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपार शतर शतश्मार भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टतर शतश्मार भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपार की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टतर शतश्मार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टतर शतश्मार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत शिल गोक्षरस बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट शिल सच्चिद आनंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम शिल जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपनु गौड़िया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम अक्षय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संख्य जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। दंडवत प्रणाम गर्गराज जी, रसेश्वरी माता जी and माधवी दीदी। हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणेति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्र राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेत्य कृत्यं द्वैपायनो विकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्म वनकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत्सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Padumna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. I don't know what you're talking about, Padumna Prabhu. A reading of his life? What do you mean? What book in particular are you thinking about? So yeah, I'm a bit late today, and we're gonna have to do something I've never done before. I'm gonna go today and read just the end part of that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on the previous chapter. I wanted to read it before I read this, but we arrived very late last night, so that's why I wasn't able to read, and I didn't have any internet when I was at this village program. So okay, so this is a recap of what we read the previous chapter. One day, Gargamuni, being sent by Vasudev, came to Nanda Maharaja's house and conducted the name ceremony of the two babies secretly in a cowshed so as to not raise Kamsa's suspicion. He named the son Rohini as Ram, one who gives happiness to everyone, Bala, one who has extraordinary strength, and Sankarshan, one who united the two families of the Yadav dynasty. Naming an attractive younger child as Kṛṣṇa, he said, "Previously this boy appeared as the son of Vasudev. He has many names and many forms. He will increase the bliss of the cowherd community and will protect all people. He is exactly like Narayan, so raise him with special care." After a short time, Balaram and Kṛṣṇa began to crawl with their hands and knees in muddy places of raj created by cow dung and cow urine. Dressed in dirt, the two babies looked immaculately beautiful, causing unparalleled bliss to their mothers Yaśodā and Rohini. Sometimes Kṛṣṇa would catch a calf's tail, and the frightened calf would run, dragging him here and there. Seeing this, all the motherly gopis would laugh. Yaśodā and Rohini were continuously in anxiety, trying to protect their restless babies from knives, monkeys, cows, and so on. Soon enough, Balaram and Kṛṣṇa started walking. They would play with other children and enter the houses of the gopis to do all kinds of naughty pranks. The gopis, who were in fact entranced by those activities, would still come to Mother Yaśodā to complain against Kṛṣṇa. One second. Your son releases our calves before we milk the cows, and no milk is left for our households. He devises various means to steal our tasty curd, butter, and milk, and he distributes them to the monkeys. If he doesn't find in our houses, he agitates our small babies by pinching them. If we hang our pots high on the ceiling, he makes holes in them by throwing stones. When we catch him, he says that we are the thieves. Sometimes he becomes angry and urine and stool in our clean houses. One day, Krishna's playmates, along with Balaram, complained to Mother Yaśodā that Kṛṣṇa had eaten dirt. Yaśodā became worried and asked Kṛṣṇa to open his mouth, and when he did so, Yaśodā saw the entire universe within the belly of her little son. Yaśodā was astonished and thought, "Is this a dream? Am I in mental derangement?" But inspired by Yogamaya, Yaśodā then discarded her vision as an illusion and took Lord Kṛṣṇa on her lap with increased motherly affection. Now we're going to hear Bound by Love, the Dampan Lila. Yeah, Prajuna Prabhu, I'm not going to have time to read those. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's just much. And those. Okay. Mother Yaśodā binds Lord Kṛṣṇa. So it's chapter. While Yaśodā was allowing Kṛṣṇa to drink her breast milk, she was forced up because she saw the milk pan boiling over on the oven. The maidservants being engaged in other business, she stopped allowing Kṛṣṇa to drink from her breast and immediately attended to the overflowing milk pan. Kṛṣṇa became very angry because of his mother's behavior and devised a means of breaking the pots of yogurt. Because he created, Mother Yaśodā decided to bind him. Incidents are described in this chapter. One day, the maidservants engaged in other work. Mother Yaśodā was churning the yogurt into butter herself, and in the meantime, Kṛṣṇa came and requested her to allow him to suck. Of course, Mother Yaśodā immediately allowed him to do so, but then she saw that the hot milk on the oven was over, and therefore she immediately stopped allowing Kṛṣṇa to drink the milk of her breast and went to stop the milk on the oven from overflowing. Kṛṣṇa, however, having been interrupted in his business of sucking the breast, was very angry. He took a piece of the churning pot and entered a room where he began to eat the freshly churned butter. After attending to the overflowing milk, returned and saw the pot broken. She could understand this was the work of Kṛṣṇa, and therefore she went to search for him. When she entered the room, she saw Kṛṣṇa standing on the ulukala, a large mortar for grinding spices. Having turned the mortar upside down, he was stealing butter hanging from a swing, distributing the butter to the monkeys. As soon as Kṛṣṇa saw that his mother had come, he immediately began to run away and mother follow him. After going some distance, Mother Yaśodā was able to catch Kṛṣṇa, who, because of his offense, was crying. Mother Yaśodā, of course, threatened to punish Kṛṣṇa if he acted that way again, and she decided to bind him with rope. Unfortunately, when the time came to knot the rope which she had wanted to bind him was short by a distance equal to the width of 2 fingers. When she made the rope longer by adding another rope, she again saw that it was short by 2 fingers. Again and again she tried, and again she found the rope too short by 2 fingers. Thus she became very tired, and Kṛṣṇa, seeing his affectionate mother so tired, allowed himself to be bound. Now, being compassionate, he did not show her his unlimited potency. After Mother Yaśodā bound Kṛṣṇa and became engaged in other household affairs, Kṛṣṇa observed 2 Yamal Arjuna trees, which were actually Nalukuvar and Manigriva, the 2 sons of Kuvera who had been condemned by Narad Muni to become trees. Kṛṣṇa, by his mercy, now began to proceed toward the trees to fulfill the desire of Narad Muni. Haribol Savitri Didi, Sudevi Didi. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ekada Grihadashishu Yaśodānanda Gehini Karmantara Niyuksu Nirmamanta Swayam Dati Yani Hagitani Tarpa Charitancha Dadhi Nirmantane Kale Smaranti Tanyagayata. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued. One day, when Mother Yaśodā saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Kṛṣṇa, and in her own way she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all of those activities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from the Vaishnavashani of Srila Sanatana Goswami, says that the incident of Kṛṣṇa's breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yaśodā took place on the Deepavali day, or Deepa Malika. Even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and lights, especially in Bombay. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yashoda's cows ate only grasses so flavorful that the grasses would automatically flavor the milk. Mother Yashoda wanted to collect the milk from these cows to make it into yogurt and turn it into butter personally, since she thought that this child Kṛṣṇa was going to the houses of neighborhood gopas and gopis to butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily prepared in his own house. While churning the butter, Mother Yaśodā was singing about the childhood activities of Kṛṣṇa. It was formerly a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry or have this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yaśodā did not want to forget Kṛṣṇa's at any time. Therefore, she poeticized all of Kṛṣṇa's childhood activities, such as the killing of Putana, Aghasura, Shakatasura, and Trinavarta. And while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain Kṛṣṇa conscious 24 hours a day. This incident shows how Kṛṣṇa conscious Mother Yaśodā was. To stay in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, we should follow such persons. Kshaumam vasa pritukatna. Kshaumam vasa pritukatitate. No, how am I doing this? Kshaumam vasa pritukatitate bhi pratisutranadham. Putra sneha snuta kucha yugam chatakam pancha subhru. Rajakarsha Shramabhuja Chalat Kankano Kundalecha Svinang Vaktram Kabara Vigalan Malati Nirmamanta. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari, with a belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yaśodā pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. Purport. Anyone who desires to be Kṛṣṇa conscious and motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the bodily features of Mother Yaśodā. It is not that one should desire to become like Yaśodā, for this is Mayavad. Either in parental affection or conjugal love, friendship or servitorship, in any way we must follow in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, not to try to become like them. Therefore, this description is provided here. Advanced devotees must cherish this description, always thinking of Mother Yaśoda's features, how she was dressed, how she was working and perspiring, how beautifully the flowers were arranged in her hair, and so on. One should take advantage of the full description provided here by thinking of Mother Yaśodā and maternal affection for Kṛṣṇa. Tangstanya kama asadya mantnantim jananim hari grihitva dadimantanam nyashedat pritimavahan. Just letting you know, since I started late, I'm going to be going overtime today because this is a long chapter. It's almost 7,000 words. While Mother Yaśodā was churning butter, Lord Kṛṣṇa, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her, and in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. Purport. Kṛṣṇa was sleeping within the room, and as soon as he got up, he became hungry and went to his mother. Wanting to stop her from churning and drink the milk of her breasts, he stopped her from moving the churning rod. Tamankam arudham apayayatstanam snehasnutang sasmitamikshati mukham atriptamutsrijya javena sayayav utsichamane payasi tadi shrite. Mother Yaśodā then embraced Kṛṣṇa, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breasts. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. Purport. Everything in the household affairs of Mother Yaśodā was meant for Kṛṣṇa. Although Kṛṣṇa was drinking the breast milk of Mother Yaśodā, when he saw that the milk pan in the kitchen was overflowing, she had to take care of it immediately, and thus she left her son, who then became very angry, not having been fully satisfied with drinking the milk of her breast. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Mother Yaśodā was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. On the platform of love and affection, it is the duty of the devotee to do one thing first and other things later. The proper intuition by which to do this is given by Kṛṣṇa. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatang pritipurvakam dadami bhuti yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. It's Bhagavad Gita 10:10. In Kṛṣṇa consciousness, everything is dynamic. Kṛṣṇa guides the devotee in what to do first and what to do next on the platform of absolute truth. Sanjatakopa spuritarunatharam sandasya tadbhir dadimanta bhajanam bhitva mrishashrur drisharashmana raho jaghasahayang gavamantaram gata. Being very angry and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, with false tears in his eyes, broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone. Then he entered a room and began to eat the freshly churned butter in a solitary place. Purport. It is natural that when a child becomes angry, he can begin crying with false tears in his eyes. So Kṛṣṇa did this, and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, he broke the pot with a stone, entered a room, and began to eat the freshly churned butter. Verse 7. Uttara gopi sushritam payapuna pravishya sangdrishya chadatymatrakam bhagnam vilokya swasutasya karmataj jahasatang chapi natatra pashyati. Mother Yaśodā, taking down the hot milk from the oven, returns to the churning spot, and when she saw the container of yogurt was broken and that Kṛṣṇa was not present, she concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Kṛṣṇa. Purport. Seeing the pot broken and Kṛṣṇa not present, Yaśodā definitely concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Kṛṣṇa. There was no doubt about it. Oh, this verse is quoted in my Gurudev's Dhammarashtakam book. Ulu kalangrer upari vyavastitam markaya kamam tadatam shichistitam hayangavam chaurya vishankitekshanam niriksha paschat sudamagamachanai. At that time, was sitting on an upside-down wooden mortar for grinding spices and was distributing milk preparations such as yogurt and butter to the monkeys as he liked. Because of having stolen, he was looking around with great anxiety, suspecting that he might be chastised by his mother. Mother Yaśodā, upon seeing him, very cautiously approached him from behind. Purport. Mother Yaśodā was able to trace Kṛṣṇa by following his butter-smeared footprints. She saw that Kṛṣṇa was stealing butter, and thus she smiled. Meanwhile, the crows also entered the room and came out in fear. Thus Mother Yaśodā found Kṛṣṇa stealing butter and very anxiously looking here and there. Tam atayashtin prasamikshasta satvara tato vahya pasara pitavat gopyandatavan nayamapayoginam kshamang praveshtum tapaseritam mana. When Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa saw his mother stick in hand, he very quickly got down from the top of the mortar and began to flee as if very much afraid. Although yogis tried to capture him as Paramatma by meditation, desiring to enter into the effulgence of the Lord with great austerities and penances, they failed to reach him. But Mother Yaśodā, thinking that same personality of God had Kṛṣṇa to be her son, began following Kṛṣṇa to catch him. Purport. Yogis, mystics, want to catch Kṛṣṇa as Paramatma, and with great austerities and penances, they try to approach him, yet they cannot. Here we see, however, that Kṛṣṇa is going to be caught by Yaśodā and is running away in fear. This illustrates the difference between the bhakta and the yogi. Yogi cannot reach Kṛṣṇa, but for pure devotees like Mother Yaśodā, Kṛṣṇa is already caught. Kṛṣṇa was even afraid of Mother Yaśoda's stick. This is mentioned by Queen Kunti in her prayers, Bhaya Bhavanaya Stitasya. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1.8.31. Kṛṣṇa is afraid of Mother Yaśodā, and yogis are afraid of Kṛṣṇa. Yogis try to reach Kṛṣṇa by Jnana Yoga and other yogas, but fail. Yet, although Mother Yaśodā was a woman, Kṛṣṇa was afraid, as clearly described in this verse. Anvanchamana janani prihachalat Chroni bharakranta gati sumadhyama Javena visrang sita kesha bandhana Chuta prasuna nugati paramrishat. While following Kṛṣṇa, Mother Yaśodā, her thin waist overburdened by her heavy breasts, naturally had to reduce her speed. Because of following Kṛṣṇa very swiftly, her hair became loose, and the flowers in her hair were falling after her. Yet she did not fail to capture her son Kṛṣṇa. Purport. Yogis cannot capture Kṛṣṇa by severe penances and austerities, but Mother Yaśodā, despite all obstacles, was finally able to catch Kṛṣṇa without difficulty. This is the difference between a yogi and a bhakta. Yogis cannot enter in the effulgence of Kṛṣṇa. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagaranda kotishu. It's Brahma Samhita 540. In that effulgence there are millions of universes, but yogis and jnanis cannot enter that effulgence even after many, many years of austerities, whereas bhaktas can capture Kṛṣṇa simply by love and affection. This is the example shown here by Mother Yaśodā. Kṛṣṇa therefore confirms that if one wants to capture him, one must undertake devotional service. Bhakta mam abhijanati yavanyaschashmi tatvata tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tar anantaram. That's Gita 18.55. Bhaktas enter even the planet of Kṛṣṇa very easily, but the less intelligent yogis and jnanis, by their meditation, remain running after Kṛṣṇa. Even if they enter Kṛṣṇa's effulgence, they fall down. Hari Bol, Ganga Didi. Kritagasam tam praruratatam sorry. Kritagasam tam prarutantam akshini kashantamanjan mashini swapanina udvikshamanam bhayavivalekshanam haste grihitva vishayantava gurat. When caught by Mother Yasodā, Kṛṣṇa became more and more afraid and admitted to being an offender. As she looked upon him, she saw that he was crying, his tears mixing with the black ointment around his eyes. And as he rubbed his eyes with his hands, he smeared the ointment all over his face. Mother Yasodā, catching her beautiful son by the hand, mildly began to chastise him. Purport. From these dealings between Mother Yasodā and Kṛṣṇa, we can understand the exalted position of a pure devotee in loving service to the Lord. Yogis, Jnanis, Karmis, and Vedantists cannot even approach Kṛṣṇa. They must remain very, very far away from him and try to enter his bodily effulgence, although this also they are unable to do. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva always worship the Lord by meditation and by service. Even the most powerful Yamaraj fears Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, as we find in the history of Ajamya, Yamaraj instructed his followers not even to approach the devotees, what to speak of capturing them. In other words, Yamaraj also fears Kṛṣṇa and Kṛṣṇa's devotees. Yet this Kṛṣṇa became so dependent on Mother Yasodā that when she simply showed Kṛṣṇa the stick in her hand, Kṛṣṇa admitted to being an offender and began to cry like an ordinary child. Mother Yasodā, of course, did not want to chastise her beloved child very much, and therefore she immediately threw her stick away and simply rebuked Kṛṣṇa, saying, "Now I shall bind you so that you cannot commit any further offensive activities. Nor for the time being can you play with your playmates." This shows the position of a pure devotee in contrast with others, like Jnanis, Yogis, and the followers of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, and regarding the transcendental nature of the absolute truth. Tyakta yashtim sutang bhitam vigyayar bhagavatsala iyesha kilatang bathum damna tad viryako vida. Mother Yasodā was always overwhelmed by intense love for Kṛṣṇa, not knowing who Kṛṣṇa was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Kṛṣṇa, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son had become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities. Purport. Mother Yasodā wanted to bind Kṛṣṇa, not in order to chastise him, but because she thought that the child was so restless that he might leave the house in fear. That would be another disturbance. Therefore, because of full affection, to stop Kṛṣṇa from leaving the house, she wanted to bind him with rope. Mother Yasodā wanted to impress upon Kṛṣṇa that since he was afraid merely to see her stick, he should not perform such disturbing activities as breaking the container of yogurt and butter and distributing its contents to the monkeys. Mother Yasodā did not care to understand who Kṛṣṇa was and how his power spreads everywhere. This is an example of pure love for Kṛṣṇa. Na chantar na bahiryasya na purvam na picha param Purva param bahishchantar jagato yo jagatshaya tam atvatma jana avyaktam martyalingam adhokshajam gopiko luktamna pabanda prakritam yata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, he is all-pervading. Because he is not under the influence of the element of time, for him there is no difference between past, present, and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times, being absolute, beyond relativity. Sorry, guys. Being absolute, being beyond relativity. He is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although he is the cause and effect of everything. That unmanifested person who is beyond the perception of the senses had now appeared as a human, and Mother Yaśodā, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 10.12, Kṛṣṇa is described as the supreme Brahman, Parang Brahma Parang Dhama. The word Brahma means the greatest. Kṛṣṇa is greater than the greatest, being unlimited and all-pervading. How can it be possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound? Then again, Kṛṣṇa is the time factor. Therefore, he is all-pervading not only in space, but also in time. We have measurements of time, but although we are limited by the past, present, and future, for Kṛṣṇa, these do not exist. Every individual person could be measured, but Kṛṣṇa has already shown that although he is an individual, the entire cosmic manifestation is within his mouth. All these points considered, Kṛṣṇa cannot be measured. How then did Yaśodā want to measure him and bind him? We must conclude that this took place simply on the platform of pure transcendental love. This was the only cause. Advaitamachyutamanatimanantarupam adyam purana purusha yovanam cha. Oops, I just missed something. Vedeshu durlabam durlabam atma bhakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Everything is one, because Kṛṣṇa is the supreme cause of everything. Kṛṣṇa cannot be measured or calculated by Vedic knowledge, Vedeshu durlabham. He is available only to devotees, adurlabham atma bhakto. Devotees handle him because they act on the basis of loving service. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tatvata. Thus, Mother Yaśodā wanted to bind him. Tadamapadyamanasya svarbhakasya kritaghasa dvangulonam uttena santadhe nyachcha gopika. When Mother Yaśodā was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance of the width of 2 fingers. Thus, she brought another rope to join to it. Purport. Here is the first chapter in Kṛṣṇa's exhibition of unlimited potency to Mother Yaśodā when she tried to bind him. The rope was too short. The Lord had already shown his unlimited potency by killing Putana, Shakatasura, and Trinavarta. Now Kṛṣṇa exhibited another vibhuti, or display of potency, to Mother Yaśodā. Unless I agree, Kṛṣṇa desired to show, you cannot bind me. Thus, although Mother Yaśodā, in her attempts to bind Kṛṣṇa, one rope after another, ultimately she was a failure. When Kṛṣṇa agreed, however, she was successful. In other words, one must be in transcendental love with Kṛṣṇa, But that does not mean that one can control Kṛṣṇa. When Kṛṣṇa is satisfied with one's devotional service, he does everything himself. Sevan mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spuratada. She reveals more and more to the devotee as the devotee advances in service. Jivado. This service begins with the tongue, with chanting, and with taking the prasad of Kṛṣṇa. Ata Shri Kṛṣṇa namati na bhavet grahyam indriyai sevan mukhe hi jivada swayam eva spuratada. It doesn't give the translation in the original. I think I might have to stand up actually to set up this table. I'll read a little bit more sitting down. Yada sittar api nyunam tenanyar api sandate tarapi dvangulam nyunam yadyad atat bandhanam. This new rope also was short by a measurement of 2 fingers, and when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. Their shortness could not be overcome. Evam swageha damani Yaśodā sandatatyapi gopinam susyamantinam smayanti vismita bhavat. Sorry. And Gurudev would always explain what these 2 signified. One finger was Cheshta, our own endeavor, and the other finger was Kripa, mercy. Both things are necessary. Thus, Mother Yaśodā joined whatever ropes were available in the household, but still, she failed in her attempt to bind Kṛṣṇa. Mother Yaśoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighborhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yaśodā, although laboring in that way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder. Purport. Actually, this incident was wonderful, because Kṛṣṇa was only a child with small hands. To bind him should have required only a rope not more than 2 feet long. All the ropes in the house combined together might have been hundreds of feet long, but still he was impossible to bind, for all the ropes together were still too short. Naturally, Mother Yaśodā and her gopi friends thought, how is this possible? Seeing this funny affair, all of them were smiling. The first rope was short by a measurement of the width of 2 fingers, and after the second rope was added, it was still 2 fingers too short. If the shortness of all the ropes were added together, it must have amounted to the width of hundreds of fingers. Certainly, this was astonishing. This is another exhibition of Kṛṣṇa's inconceivable potency to his mother and his mother's friends. Samatu sinnagatraya visrasta kabarasraja drishtva parishramam Kṛṣṇam kripaya sid swabandhane. Okay, I'm just putting this computer up. I'm going to stand up because I'm starting to... I didn't sleep very much last night. Because of Mother Yaśoda's hard labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers and comb were falling from her hair. When child Kṛṣṇa saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. Purport. When Mother Yaśodā and the other ladies finally saw that Kṛṣṇa, although decorated with many bangles and other jeweled ornaments, could not be bound with all the ropes available in the house, They decided that Kṛṣṇa was so fortunate that he could not be bound by any material condition. Thus, they gave up the idea of binding him. But in competition between Kṛṣṇa and his devotee, Kṛṣṇa sometimes agrees to be defeated. Thus, Kṛṣṇa's internal energy, Yogamaya, was brought to work, and Kṛṣṇa agreed to be bound by Mother Yaśodā. Evam sandarshita hyanga harina vrittavashyata svavashenapi Kṛṣṇena yasyedam seshvaram vashe. O Maharaj Parikshit, this entire universe, with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra, is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited by Kṛṣṇa in this pastime. Purport. This pastime of Kṛṣṇa's is very difficult to understand, but devotees can understand it. It is therefore said, Tad vidam loka atmano bhaktavashyatam, at Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:11-9. The Lord displays the transcendental attribute of coming under the control of his devotees. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5:35, Eko pyaso rachaitum jagaranda kotim yachaktirasti jagaranda chaya yadanta andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. By his one plenary portion as Paramatma, the Lord controls innumerable universes with all their demigods. Yet, he agrees to be controlled by a devotee. In the Upanishads, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can run with more speed than the mind. But here we see that although Kṛṣṇa wanted to avoid being arrested by his mother, he was finally defeated, and Mother Yaśodā him. Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Brahmasevyamana. Kṛṣṇa is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Nonetheless, he steals butter like one who is poverty-stricken. Yamaraj, the controller of all living entities, fears the order of Kṛṣṇa, yet Kṛṣṇa is afraid of his mother's stick. These contradictions cannot be understood by one who is not a devotee. But a devotee can understand how powerful is unalloyed devotional service to Kṛṣṇa. It is so powerful that Kṛṣṇa can be controlled by an unalloyed devotee. This vrittavashyata does not mean that he is under the control of the servant. Rather, he is under the control of the servant's pure love. In Bhagavad Gita 1:21, it is said that Kṛṣṇa became the chariot driver of Arjuna. Arjuna ordered him, Senayor uphayor madhe ratang stapayame chuta. My dear Kṛṣṇa, you have agreed to be my charioteer and execute my orders. Place my chariot between the two armies of soldiers. Kṛṣṇa immediately executed this order, and therefore one may argue that Kṛṣṇa also is not independent. But this is one's agyan, ignorance. Kṛṣṇa is always fully independent. When he becomes subordinate to his devotees, this is a display of Ananda Chinmaya Ras, the humor of transcendental qualities that increases his transcendental pleasure. Everyone worships Kṛṣṇa as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he sometimes desires to be controlled by someone else. Such a controller can be no one else but a pure devotee. I'm just saying, how many verses are we reading today? 1 second. 23, okay. Nemam virinchana bhavo nashir upanga samshaya prasadam lebhire gopi yattat prapa vimuktidat. Neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the same Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as receives by Mother Yaśodā. Purport. This is a comparative study between Mother Yaśodā and other devotees of the Lord. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 5.142, Ekale Ishvara Sabha Bhritya. The only Supreme Master is Kṛṣṇa, and all others are his servants. Kṛṣṇa has the transcendental quality of Bhritya Vashata, becoming subordinate to his Bhritya, or servant. Now, although everyone is Bhritya, and although Kṛṣṇa has the quality of becoming subordinate to his Bhritya, the position of Mother Yaśodā is the greatest. Lord Brahma is Bhritya, a servant of Kṛṣṇa, and he is Adi Kavi, the original creator of this universe. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Nonetheless, even he could not obtain such mercy as Mother Yaśodā. As for Lord Shiva, he is the topmost Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. What to speak of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is the Lord's constant companion in service, since she always associates with his body. But even she could not get such mercy. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was surprised, thinking, what did Mother Yaśodā and Nanda Maharaj do in their previous lives by which they got such a great opportunity, the opportunity to be the affectionate father and mother of Kṛṣṇa? In this verse, there are three negative pronouncements, na, na, na. When anything is uttered three times, do it, do it, do it, one should understand that this is meant to indicate great stress on a fact. In this verse, we find na le bhire, na le bhire, na le bhire. Yet Mother Yaśodā is in the supermost exalted position, and thus Kṛṣṇa has become completely subordinate to her. The word vimukti-dat is also significant. There are different types of liberation, such as sayujya, salokya, sarupya, sarshti, and samipya. But vimukti means special mukti. When after liberation one is situated on the platform of prem bhakti, one is said to have achieved vimukti, special mukti. Therefore, the word na is mentioned. That exalted platform of prema is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as prema pumarto mahan, and Mother Yaśodā naturally acts in such an exalted position in loving affairs. She is therefore a Nitya Siddha devotee, an expansion of Kṛṣṇa's Ladini potency, whose potency to enjoy transcendental bliss through expansions who are special devotees, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Abhi. Such devotees are not sadhan siddha. Hare Krishna, Raj Bhuvan Yadav. Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutta Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yata Bhakti Matam Iha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, the son of Mother Yaśodā, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous, loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body to be the same as the self. Purport. Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the son of Mother Yaśodā, is very easily available to devotees, but not to tapasvis, yogis, jnanis, and others who have a bodily concept of life. Although they may sometimes be called Shanta Bhaktas, real bhakti begins with Dasya Ras. Kṛṣṇa says in Bhagavad Gita 4:11, Ye yata mang prapadyante tang sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarvashaha. As living entities surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Everyone is seeking Kṛṣṇa, but he is the supersoul of all individual souls. Everyone loves his body and wants to protect it because he is within the body as a soul. And everyone loves the soul because the soul is part and parcel of the supersoul. Therefore, everyone is actually seeking to achieve happiness by reviving his relationship with the supersoul. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedaishta sarvar aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. Therefore, the karmis, jnanis, yogis, and saintly persons are all seeking Kṛṣṇa. But by following in the footsteps of devotees who are in a direct relationship with Kṛṣṇa, especially the inhabitants of Vrindavan, one can reach the supreme position of associating with Kṛṣṇa. As it is said, Vrindavanam paritajam padam ekam nagachati. Not leave Vrindavan even for a moment. The Vrindavan Vasis, Mother Yaśodā, Kṛṣṇa's friends, and Kṛṣṇa's conjugal lovers, the younger gopis with whom who he dances, have very intimate relationships with Kṛṣṇa. And if one follows in the footsteps of these devotees, Kṛṣṇa is available. Although the Nitya-Siddha expansions of Kṛṣṇa always remain with Kṛṣṇa, if those engaged in sadhan siddhi follow in the footsteps of Kṛṣṇa's Nitya-Siddha associates, such sadhan siddhas also can easily attain Kṛṣṇa without difficulty. But there are those who are attached to bodily concepts of life. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, for example, have very prestigious positions, and thus they have the sense of being very exalted Ishvaras. In other words, because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are guna avatars and have exalted positions, they have some small sense of being like Kṛṣṇa. But the pure devotees who inhabit Vrindavan do not possess any bodily conception. They are fully dedicated to the service of the Lord in sublime affection, prema. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore recommended prema pumartha mahan. The highest perfection of life is prema, pure love in relationship with Kṛṣṇa. And Mother Yaśodā appears to be the topmost of devotees who have attained this perfection. Krishnastu griha krityeshu vyagrayam matari prabhu adrakshir arjuno purvam guhyako dhanadatmajo. While Mother Yaśodā was very busy with household affairs, the Supreme Lord, Kṛṣṇa, observed twin trees known as Yamalarjuna, which in a former millennium had been the demigod sons of Kuvera. Pura narada shapena vrikshatam prapito madat nalokuvaramani kriva iva iti kyato shriyanvito. In their former birth, these two sons, known as Nalokuvara and Manigriva, were extremely opulent and fortunate. But because of pride and false prestige, they did not care about anyone, and thus Narad Muni cursed them to become trees. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 9th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Mother Yaśodā Binds Lord Kṛṣṇa. This chapter ends on a cliffhanger. Why is it mentioning the two trees who are the sons of Nalakuvara and Manigriva? We'll read about that tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shri Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Śrīla Gokṣadas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath Sharda Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund Ki Jai Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Dambandhan Lila Ki Jai Shri Krishna Kanaya Ki Jai Shri Dao Bhaya Ki Jai Shri Yaśodā Maya Ki Jai Shri Nanda Baba Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gan Ki Jai Shri Vishwabhanu Nandini Shiva Shrimati Radha Thakurani Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवाशुचा कृष्ण भक्ति पद देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः पंचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Dandavat pranams, everybody. So, as I mentioned before, I'll be going live at any random time today, just to finish up the last 1,500 words of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary to the previous chapter. Alright, see you all then. So you can just look anytime and see if the video is there. I don't expect anybody to be there when I'm reading it live, because I'm not going to be going live at any particular time. Alright, Dandavat pranams, everybody. See you later.